Ooh, it's a little dusty. We'll make it work. We're not going to launch it because it's definitely not going to stick. What you just heard is the Kline Innovation Inconel exhaust system for the Lamborghini Huracan Performante. And once again, full disclosure, I did not pay full price for this exhaust. If there's one modification that I've done to almost every car that I've owned, it's an exhaust system. With that said, if there's one car that I've ever owned that really didn't need an exhaust system, it's the Huracan Performante. So even though this car really didn't need an exhaust, when Kline approached me to do an Inconel system on the car, I was all for it. If you've never heard of Kline Innovation, their info is linked down below. They make a wide variety of exhaust systems, really specializing in a material called Inconel, which is what this exhaust is made out of. It's the same material used in the exhaust systems on Formula 1 cars. Feel free to do your own research, but to make a long story short, Inconel is a special type of steel that is extremely heat resistant and extremely strong, which allows them to make an exhaust system that is much thinner than a typical stainless or even titanium system would be, which allows them to make it very, very lightweight. That's the reason why this Kline system is so much lighter than the stock exhaust. Anyway, so I got the exhaust system. A bunch of you guys probably would have seen the video that I made on the system itself. If you want a closer look, definitely go check that out. But I brought the exhaust and the car over to my friends at European Automotive in Oakville to get it installed. Please enjoy this time lapse of the install. Guys install a ton of exhaust systems, and they told me straight up that this was one of the best fitting exhausts they've ever put on a car. Like I've said in previous videos, I've bought some expensive exhaust systems that simply did not fit well at all. Not the case with this one though. So a big thank you to European Automotive in Oakville. If you're in the Oakville or GTA area and you're looking to have an exhaust installed, if you're looking for parts, if you're looking for servicing, basically anything you need, they deal with high-end cars all day long. They do a really good job every single time. They're the only people I bring my cars to. So if you need some work done, get in contact with them. Their info will be linked down below. As for the sound, oh, it sounds. What I want to say first is I have reviewed some footage of this car, and videos do the exhaust sound of this Kline Innovation system no justice whatsoever. Admittedly, in certain clips, it doesn't actually sound that different from the stock system, but in reality, I would estimate that this Kline Innovation system is about 20% louder than stock, but the big difference is in the sound itself. It's so much sharper, it's so much cleaner, it's so much, I guess, more forceful in terms of how the exhaust is exiting the back of this car. It's very, very noticeable in person, and basically the difference is that the regular Performante sounds great. With this Kline system, you really feel the exhaust. Needless to say, if you had my car with the Kline system and a regular Huracan Performante side by side, there is a noticeable difference in sound. However, for the sake of this video, here is a before and after sound clip of the exhaust. In race mode, of course. Oh, geez. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. What's also nice about this exhaust is that it utilizes the factory valve system, which means that when you switch between the driving modes, it will open and close the exhaust accordingly. It's basically just sound levels. In Strada or street mode, it's super quiet. Actually, if you leave this in Strada and in automatic, it's actually shocking how quiet this car gets. In sport mode, it gets a little bit louder, and then in Corsa, which is race, the only mode you should be driving this car in, it's really loud and sounds, I mean, just listen. If you own one of these cars and don't have it in Corsa mode 100% of the time, you're doing it wrong. The reason why it's louder is because the exhaust itself, when everything is fully open, is much shorter than the stock system, and the reason why it's still able to be quiet in the quieter modes is because you still maintain a central muffler, where with the valves closed, it does a really good job of muffling the sound. And also, kind of a weird side note that I was surprised about, it actually seems to be a little bit quieter at highway speeds over the stock system. Here's an example of how it sounds at highway speeds in race mode. And then if I switch it into Strada, it gets even quieter. Putting it back in race mode. Oh, a little wiggle. Kline also claimed that there are some power gains to go along with their aftermarket system. I've been driving this car around for the last couple of days, and honestly, I haven't noticed any significant power gains over stock. The car certainly doesn't feel slower, I'll tell you that much, but if you're expecting this exhaust system to make your car feel noticeably more powerful, I wouldn't necessarily say that's the case, but that's because if it is doing anything, it's only adding a small amount of power on what is already a very powerful car. The car is also still running the stock tune, by the way. Like I said, not slow. The final thing worth mentioning about this particular exhaust system is the way that it looks. Obviously, with the Huracan Performante and now the Evo, which is a bit of a piss-off, the exhaust comes straight out the back of the bumper, which is a pretty unique look, although we're seeing this a lot on super high-performance exotic cars. Either way, my car is a little bit different than a regular Huracan Performante visually because of the Kline carbon tips that it's running, which are basically just a heat shield for the bumper. They don't physically attach to the exhaust system itself, but you'll notice that it's a standard carbon weave against the forged carbon bumper. I'm kind of undecided on how it looks myself. Ultimately, I think it's pretty cool. I like the gunmetal gray that you have on the inside of the carbon tips themselves, but whether or not this is something that's for everybody, I guess that's for you to decide. For the record, you can run this exhaust system while still using the stock tips. They just sent me the carbon tips, so I figured I'd put them on the car. If they could make some forged carbon tips though, that would be sweet. Also, something else that I immediately noticed just because I've stared at the back of this car so much is that with the Kline system, because it's so much smaller than the stock exhaust, there's so much venting at the back of the Huracan Performante that with all the extra space, it lets a lot of extra light in, so you really see through the back of the car a lot more than you normally would, which is cool. So to conclude this video, is the Inconel Kline exhaust system worth it for the Huracan Performante? Well, my advice would be this. If you enjoy your Huracan Performante right now and you'd like it to be that little bit more dialed up in terms of volume and intensity, not that it already isn't a super intense car, this exhaust system will definitely do that for you. Is it a night and day difference over stock? Definitely not. But now that I have it on my car, will I enjoy my Huracan more than I did before? Absolutely 100% yes. Anyways, guys, that's it for this one. Thanks again to Kline Innovation for sending out this exhaust for review. Again, if you want to check them out, all of their info is linked down below. If you have any questions regarding this system or anything else that you'd like to see regarding any of my cars as far as modifications go, let me know what they are down below in the comments. If you're not subscribed to the channel already, make sure you subscribe for more car videos on a weekly basis, as long as I continue to make them weekly. Just being honest, because the world is crazy right now. Check out the Car Problems Instagram, that is also linked down below. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. And again.